Hello crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'd like to show you how I made this Get Well Soon card. It was inspired by a card that I saw in the new catalogue that goes live on the 1st of June, but I've added my own spin to it. I've used for this one Tip Top Taupe with the flower Melon Mambo, and I'm going to change the colours up for the video. So to start off with, I'll tell you the card pieces that you'll need. Oops. The card base I'm using is Crumb Cake, and it measures 8 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches, which is 21 by 14.5 centimetres. You need 2 pieces of Shimmery White cardstock, both which measure 4 inches by 5 5/8 inches, which is 10.2 by 14.2 centimetres. You need a piece of crumb cake that measures 3 7/8 inches by 5 1/2 inches, which is 9.9 by 13.9 centimetres. You also need another piece of shimmery white, which is for the flower, and that should be approximately 4 inches by 4 inches, which is about 10 by 10 centimetres. And you need another piece of shimmery white for the sentiment, and that should measure approximately 1/2 inch by 3 inches, which is 1.5 by 8 centimetres. So what I'm going to do first is the stamping on the crumb cake. Then I'll do the stamping on the flower and stamping on the sentiment and stamping on the inside of the card. On the inside I've got that flower there. So those are the pieces I'm going to be needing. Right, this one here. I'm using crumb cake ink. Now I haven't tested this before, and I'm not sure whether I need to stamp it off first or not. So what I do to find that out, because we have 2 sides to the paper, I'm going to stamp one on the first side. If I don't like it, then I can turn it over and try that. Or if I'm not sure, I can do one full first generation and one second generation. But first of all, the stamp that I'm using for this is from Birthday Blooms, this one here, and this is the flower that I'm going to be putting on the inside. So as it's such a large stamp, I'm going to ink from the top. I generally say the bigger one goes at the bottom, so if the stamp is bigger than the pad, the stamp goes at the bottom. Right, now when I'm placing this down, as I turn this over, there's a little, let me see if I can, forgotten to bring my paper piercer, but never mind. As I put this down onto my cardstock, where you see that corner there, I just make that cardstock show through. What I'll do is I'll stamp it down. I'm not really happy stamping it that way, but do it properly then. Right, okay. Now make sure it's up the right way. And now I'm going for that little triangle bit. Right, I wonder if you, yes, you can see. See how you got that little corner sticking out of the cardstock. So I've got these little bits coming over the edge, and I got those coming over the edge as well. I don't think you can see that brilliantly, but I hope that gives the idea of how I'm doing that. In fact, if I'm lucky, this is going to be stuck as I lift it up. No, it didn't. That's typical, isn't it? Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm not sure whether that's going to be too dark, so I'm going to do another one down here. Decide which one I like, then I'm going to flip it over and do it on the other side. I mean, I could test it on here, but I'm not going to get a really accurate idea of what it's going to look like when it's stamped on crumb cake. So if I stamp off once there, That's much better. You see, if you do it like that, you can find whether you like the dark one or you want to see it less obvious. Okay, I definitely prefer the lighter one, so let's turn it over the right way now. Make sure I've got that up the right way. Stamp it off once and then place it so I've got that little corner of cardstock showing through. There we go. Now when I go down to do the second one, I'm keeping the stamp this way round, otherwise the flower, if I tried tipping it, the flower is upside down. So this one here, I make that come off the corner, and I'm quite confident you'll be able to see that. So let me ink that again and stamp off. Just position this for myself. There we go. Now can you see? Yes, you can see how much cardstock is showing through there. Okay, so I've got this bit coming off the edge and a bit coming off the edge here. Okay. Let's put that down. Let's move that out of the way, otherwise that's going to be really distracting. Okay, so that's what I've got. I've overlapped here, but that doesn't matter because the flower is going to go onto the centre of that. So I'm happy with that. With my piece that's going to go inside the card, in fact let me get that back again, I haven't finished with that, have I? Let's turn it that way. Whereas I've stamped just one flower on the inside there, this one I'm going to do two, which is, this is my second card that I made, and I made a little bit of a mistake on here. This is Sahara Sand cardstock, and I used Tip Top Taupe ink. It still worked, it's okay. Fortunately I did stamp that one off, but on here I've done one flower and a part of a flower, which I think looks better, but I want to get more of that second one onto this one. So let's see what I can do. And this one I'm not going to worry about stamping off. Now I want all of the stalk on this. So there's, oh, missed a little bit, but never mind. But I'm just going to bring the flower up. And what I've done is, you can see the leaf down there through the block, and I've made the rubber on there on the side of that fit around it because I didn't want the flower going over the top, and that looks much better. Much better. I would have preferred it if that had come right the way down, but never mind, that's a small detail. So there's that stamping done. On this one I'm going to use the sentiment from Hopeful Thoughts. Both of the stamp sets I'm using today are being carried forward in the new catalogue. Okay, so Hopeful Thoughts, I'm going to be using the Get Well Soon. This actually comes as one complete stamp, but I've cut this bit off. If you do that, one point is that you'll make your guarantee with Stampin' Up null and void for that stamp set, because you've obviously deliberately damaged it yourself. I don't think it's an issue because I'm just totally confident about the quality of Stampin' Up products. But as long as you just do one straight line across there, if you want to use it as one stamp again, all you need to do is to put one on the block and then put that one on and line them up totally. It won't work obviously if you cut bits out, but I just find that something like this I will use it far more if I've got them separated. So let me bring that down as low as I can. I'm going to say, have a look, see whether it's upside down or not, but it doesn't really matter, does it? There we go, that's fine. And then the big one, and I need my black Archival ink for this. In fact, I should have really done this one first, because the black takes a little bit of time to dry, not long, but it could have been drying while I was doing all the other bits and pieces. And I also need to clean my stamp before I move on as well. This is quite a lot of colouring and the fussy cutting on the flowers. So obviously I'm not going to do all of that on camera. I have prepared one earlier, so it's all up and running, ready to go. I've done the put all the dimensionals on the back of it. Because this is a felt pad rather than sponge, you do need to give it a bit of a twist. That's better. Right, it looks as if I've been a bit over generous with the size that I've told you that you need for this. The measurements and the products will be listed in the box below. Unfortunately, YouTube have taken away the resource that I used where I put the writing on the screen, but everything will be in the box below. Right, now I'm going to be using our watercolour pencils, and I'm using Bermuda Bay and also Old Olive. And as I'm not going to do all this, I will just show you how I do it. So I'm going to do this flower here. The rest I do the same, and then I will just show you the green. Not that there's any real difference on that, but I will show you. When you're using the watercolour pencils, if you use a sharp part of the end of the pencil, that will come up dark. If you use a flatter part where it's been worn down, that will come up a lot lighter, which is what really helps you with the shading. This one's better for the shading that I've done, and that's all been done by using the pointy bit on the end of the pencil and the blunt bits, or blunter, no, the smooth bits, don't say blunt. Right, so I'm going to try and find a sharp bit and just do some dark lines, and I'm just following the line, the shadow bits that are on the image. Okay, so that's all I'm doing for the dark bits. Now for my light bits, I'm just going over and colouring it in very lightly. And on this one, if you go over the edge, it doesn't matter too much because you will be cutting it out. Okay, so I've got it like that. You see how I've got the dark lines on the lines that the already there on the image, and then I've very gently gone over. I always do a circular movement when I'm just doing the light colours. Now I'm going to colour this in with one of our blender pens, and I always give it a little clean just to make sure it should be clean. Now what I like to do with this, I like to turn it upside down, so where I've got the dark lines I can bring them down towards me. I find it easier than trying to do the other direction. So what I'm going to do is just start on the dark lines, and I'm going out sideways with them. And then I start coming up. And then onto the areas where there aren't any dark bits. And as you see, it gives it some really good colour. Now I'm happy with the way that that has come out. if you're not happy with what you've done and you want to add some more dark, what you can do is, if you take your blender pen and just do that onto the end of your pencil, that will pick some colour up on the end of your blender pen, and then you can put it down on there. Okay. Now I will also show you how I do the centres of the flowers as well, because I don't use watercolour pencils for those, but I do use my Wink of Stella gold pen, which unfortunately is retiring, but I just use that before I do the colouring in there to go over the stamen parts. Okay, so once I've done all of those, some of these it's a bit difficult to decide whether they're stamens or not, but it's not serious enough to worry about. I think that's okay. So what I would do is I would go and colour all my flower. I would leave all of that bit there, and then once I'd done that and I was happy with it, I would very carefully go inside very, very lightly with this. As you can see, it's almost white on the inside by the stamens on that one. Okay. And then it's a question of fussy cutting it, which everybody knows how to do that, but now this is the one I'm going to be using for my card. Once you have finished cutting it, you normally find, if you're like me, now I did save one here I'm sure, you finish up with some white edges. Let's see, I thought I'd left that one. I was obviously very critical last time I went round it, but anyway, in fact, let me show you on this one. Let me deliberately do it. I don't want to spoil it because I can come back and finish this off later. But let me just create what it is I'm trying to say. That's a bit exaggerated there, that wouldn't happen, would it? But never mind, it shows what I'm talking about. Can you see how I've left white bits on here? In particular that bit there. To cover that up, the easy way of doing it is if you have a black marker pen and take the brush end, make sure that you're working with the brush behind your work, so that if your brush slips, it just draws on this side, it doesn't damage this side. And all I do is, let me prop my elbows up so that I can keep this close, so hopefully you can see what's happening. All I do is I put my pen like that, you see, if I slip, then I'm going to go that way. I'm not going to go front ways. And can you see this one as well? That one I did make a bit exaggerated, which means I'm struggling a little bit with it. Plus the fact I'm looking that it's almost level with my nose. There we go, that's better. A little bit in there as well. Okay, so that is all black now. it's thicker black than it was intended to be, but it looks better than having little white bits over there. You can't really see what I've done here, but there are little black marks on the back there, which is better for them to be at the back there rather than on the front. Now this one is oh, there we go, look, that's a really, you can see exactly what I mean there. I've got a black line where I've slipped there, and there's quite a few black lines there as well. But if I hadn't have had my brush underneath my work, that would have been on top of my flowers, which would have upset me, I have to say. Right, okay, so next I'm going to put my card together. Let's put that away first. So you can use whichever is your preferred adhesive. As you know, mine is Tombow. Where's my rubbish bin? And then this one. Oops. Silly. I haven't put my ribbon on there. Before you put your glue on this one, in fact it should have been on that one as well. So the ribbon's gone around both. But I'm going to have to try and do a rescue job here. So I'm going to put my ribbon on there and there. The top of the ribbon is about 1.25 inches up from the base. And I'm going to put a bit of extra Tombow on that just to make sure it holds. Oh well, there you go, another JanB boo-boo. But nobody will know. I think that's alright. Yes, that's okay. So now I'm going to pop that onto there. The other thing that I did on here is I have gone over with, not totally, but just in various places with the clear wink of Stella. It's always so difficult to tell whether it's actually shining up or not, but you get the idea. As you can see, it was really fiddly trying to cut dimensionals to get onto these little bits right here. These big ones were fine. The little ones, it's really difficult to see whether the paper is off or not. The only way you can tell is by actually sticking your finger on it. Have I got any tweezers handy? I was using them earlier, so they should be here somewhere. Yes, here they are, right by the side of me. Come on, let go. You certainly need patience for doing this bit. There we go. That's all right. Whew. And then just position it where you think it looks good. That's it. It was worth the effort to do all those little bits of dimensionals, because all of those are supported. Right, now with my Get Well Soon, I'm using the classic label punch, which is that one, and this fits in beautifully. I just pop that in and line it up. Punch it out. And this one, I find it's better to have the smaller parts of dimensionals, so preferably these ones down here, and I tend to have 3 of them. I find a whole dimensional is too much. See, that fits really nicely, that one. Let's do the 2 ends first. One in the centre. Pop that there, straight. Yeah, I think that's okay. And then the last thing, the last thing before doing the inside was I put lots of little dots on here. I just felt that it gave it a lift. Show you the two side by side so you can decide for yourself whether you think it is worth the effort of doing it. I certainly do. So with a white gel pen, there's no right or wrong to doing this. I just find I don't actually put them on the flowers or the leaves, it's between all of them. But make sure your gel pen is working. And then I just do 3 dots in a triangle. I just look to see where the gaps are and pop them in there. And I only do it by the edges of the flowers and leaves. I don't actually go into the large plain areas like down here or up round here. And I don't make sure all the triangles in the same direction either. And once I've done the rounds, just have a look at it, and if I think it looks okay, it's okay. So there we are. Okay. So you can decide for yourself whether you want to do those dots. So now the last thing I do is to pop the insert inside my card. Oh, a bit messy there, look at that. But I have discovered that I prefer to do mine upside down. I find it easier to line the outside edges up together. And just have to make sure that I don't put them in upside down there. I will probably come back and draw the extra lines on there with a marker pen, and I might even colour the flowers in, don't know yet. But there you go, there's today's card. I hope you like it, and I really hope you give it a try. You do need patience with it though, I'll be the first one to say that, but I think it's really worth it. Love it. Many thanks for joining me today. If you have any questions, please leave a comment in the box below or send me an email to JanB@janbcards.com. I'm always very happy to help you. If you'd like to purchase any of the products that I featured here, except for the white gel pen, apart from that, I'll put a link to my 24/7 online Stampin' Up shop in the box below. I'd really appreciate your business. If you've enjoyed my video and you'd like to be notified each time I upload a new one, which is normally on Sundays and Wednesdays, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. As I explained earlier, YouTube have taken away the facility for me to put the products and the measurements on the screen, but I will put them all in the box below for you, so everything's all together and nice and convenient. Finally, we do have a new catalogue that's going to go live on the 1st of June. If you don't already have a Stampin' Up demonstrator and you would like to receive a catalogue, please email me your details at JanB@janbcards.com and I'll be happy to send you one. The Stampin' Up rules will only allow me to make that offer if you have an address in the UK, the Netherlands, France, Austria or German. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.